multiple machines.
Where does precipitation go when it lands on the ground?
We're also going to be exploring how landforms are created. Okay, how do you think it was formed?
Rainstorms or tsunami.
Okay.
That's cool.
How much time do you think it took to form?
And what are the structures of the insects? What does an insect have?
Let's talk about what is weather. What are some of the things that you could observe and write about after our weather walk?
And we are going to be making observations today.
What you're going to do is under your question, you're going to divide your paper into 4 sections.
And you're going to be recording your observation using pictures and words. You may use numbers as well.
What can we use to check the wind? Said we're going to put the clouds, the temperature, Laura, and the wind.
Grubs are everywhere. Look at that! Do you want to bring Marco over here? We just saw there's a worm right here, Nicole.
Yeah. Look, it's sucking up with the sun.
What, do you want to touch that area and see if it feels any different?
I do.
That's 4, 8.
No, it's 1 month. Ah! Right here, Mr. Hudson,
What do we see? What is this, guys? What is it? A river! All right, so...
Ready? Let's see if we find anything. Is there anything there? Do you see any bugs? Oh!
You know, I saw a big spider, but I don't know where it went.
When the wind is really strong and the balloon keeps going somewhere and over there, it shows where the wind is going.
You have all become meteorologists over the past few weeks.
To the Italian restaurant. At a little. I forgot to spell black.
What was at work out there?
Edward.
Weathering.
It surprised me because when it kept going, it took like 30 seconds to pick up some plants. I was surprised it was strong enough because usually it starts getting evaporated before.
What should we do, Sarah?
It's recess time.
It is not recess time, so you need to follow directions.
But when somebody picks up a flower and the teacher said do not pick that up, you have to listen to the teacher and don't say no.
Good thinking. So that means listen to the teacher and don't pick any flowers.
Or they die.
Right, or they could die and we wouldn't enjoy them anymore. So we're observing in the schoolyard. That means we're looking and listening. When we go outside, if I blow my whistle once, what do you do?
Freeze.
If I blow it again, what are you going to do? Line up right against the mural at the science store.
Remember, we get our clipboard, we choose our paper.
The newspaper? No, newspaper.
Oscar, what's next? Get a pencil.
You're going to grab a clipboard and then you're going to line up quietly, please.
If you have your pants rolled up, please get your magnifying glass and vial. Oh, Denny. Any other tools we should bring out or we're going to need?
This little go around thingy.
The anemometer for G?
The wind gauge.
The wind vane? Yes?
Thanks, Johnny. We can just put the water pitchers right here. Okay. And all the stuff. You're going to need your clipboard and your pen. We're silently going through the halls. We have a 3-strike rule. 3 strikes for any reason, and we have to come inside and do this lesson. I guarantee this lesson is definitely not as fun inside, especially this one. Okay, here we go.
Miss, we're not running because it's not recess time. John Carlos, you should be in the line.
And then I got a little third one.
Hold on, Al.
right there.
You want someone else to get it?
Alright. Bobby. That we used or that we've learned about?
A screw and a wheel and axle.
Screw and a wheel and axle.
Alright, my friends. Stop. Third square, and if you sit at table 4, go to the square that has a 4 on it, please. If you're my friends that have the glue, bring it over here. This will be our supply shelf for today. Yep, and you're making constructions out of the popsicle sticks. So you're taking something old and making something new. What do we call that? When you take something old that you don't need anymore and you use it in another way. Samuel.
Recycle.
That's called recycling. So, Miss Gracie, can you give everyone a white tray, please? Toby and Sean, give everyone glue. Today, my kindergartners went outside to do the very last lesson in the wood and paper kit. It's called wood constructions. So they were making something out of wood, and it was also a good lesson because they were using popsicle sticks. So they were taking something old and reusing it to make a new project or construction. My expectations were that the kids could be as creative as they wanted to be. They could make whatever they wanted out of the popsicle sticks.
38, 39.
Joel, when you do your gluing, can you do it on the tray so we don't get any glue on the ground? Good work, Emmy.
Yes, it works!
Write it already?
Sophia.
I don't have an 8 to make it.
And when they went outside, each group, I have 4 groups inside, and outside they also sat with those same groups. So I used a part of our schoolyard where there's a 4 square and the boxes are each numbered. The students sat in the box with the number that has their same number inside. And then everyone was given a tray. I got styrofoam trays from the lunch lady earlier today. Do you want me to tell you about some of the projects other kids were making? Some kids were making picture frames. One person was making a boat. Some kids are making different shapes. It also helped that every kid had their own bottle of glue, so they didn't have to get up and move around. All the supplies they needed were right there. So once they sat down and got started, no one needed to get up and move around, which tends to add to the mess and the chaos. It was nice to do the project outside because my room is very cramped. They had more space to move around, but then also because it was such a nice day, and also the mess. All right, my friends, if you are totally done, give me a thumbs up. If you need 1 more minute, show me 1 finger. If you need 2 more minutes, show me 2 fingers.
3, 4,
All right.
I need 5.
You need
Me too,
5?
I need 5.
All right. 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna go in. Oh, these look wonderful.
I think I'll rebuild it.
Crease in.
If you find something like that on the sidewalk, you'll let us 30.
Line leaders, right here. We'll leave those out there to dry for a little bit, and then we'll bring them in. Oh, very good. Joshua, what did you make today? A mouse house trap. Bird house. How did you make that?
I used first I made a triangle.
So if you had fun doing that project today, put your hand on your head. If you like doing the project outside today, do a silent cheer. Do you like doing outside?
Yay!
Oh, good. All right. You hello to Yelly. So glad to see you. Hello to your auntie. So glad to see you. Hello. Good clapping to Brenda. So glad to see you. Hello go. All right, guys, it's a beautiful day today, and we are going to go outside to try to find some animals. One of the animals we're going to try and find is a bird.
Cat.
What kind of animal is this?
What's that, Andrew? Bird.
Good
Good
job
job.
using your words.
Don't pick his beak.
Abby, we're going to go outside and we're going to look for a
That's a
bird.
nest, Andrew. That's where he lives. Just hold it.
Good, gentle, Andrew. Bird has feathers. I really, anytime we're talking about anything that I can bring them outside for, I do. It is kind of complicated though with the wheelchairs and different students. One student has difficulty with depth perception, so even something as simple as like stepping up on a curb is a challenge for him. So there is always, you have to make sure there's a high adult to student ratio, but it's definitely worth it. The kids get excited about going outside. We're also, what are some other animals we're going to look for? A beetle. We're going to look for worms, ants, bugs.
Ants are bugs.
This lesson, I feel, most lessons when you're doing anything that involves the outdoors, if you can get them outside, it's the best way to do it. Especially with very, very concrete learners. Some of these students have cognitively are performing at about an 18-month-old age, so extremely concrete. It would be very difficult to transfer information, something like a picture of a rock, and showing them that a bug lives under a rock. Really, they actually need to be at the rock, rolling the rock over to see. Those grubs are everywhere. Look at that! Do you want to bring Marco over here? We just saw you looking for bugs under the books.
Turn over.
Do you want to do it? Beetles we were hoping. I guess what surprised me was how some of the students have difficulty focusing their attention for a long period of time. Would be 10 seconds. And what I saw was how closely some of the students were trying to look for very small objects like ants. That can be very challenging for them. Sometimes their visual perception, it's hard for them to, if there's a lot of distracting background, it's hard for them to pick out an object. And so an ant walking across concrete can be very challenging to focus on. And some of the students, particularly Daniele, was really squatting down, getting low, and really trying to look. So that was pleasing to me.
And you want to put it on? You put it on for me. Where's it go? Right there. Good job, Andrew.
Live in the rock?
And we found the beetles under the rock. Yeah, we did. Yeah, under the rock.
Can you help me put the worm on the paper?
You did a good job. Want to help Daniele? Would you like to
Good holding. Good job holding that paper.
Where do we put the rock here?
You want to do it yourself?
So now, we got ants. Remember we found ants?
You put the worm on the paper. Look. You did it, Abby.
Look over here.
Good job.
What is weather? What are some of the things that you could observe and write about after our weather walk?
Thermometer was going like zoom, zoom, zoom. That means it was like really windy, and if it was just going like this.
Before I took them out, because we hadn't been on a weather walk in a while, I reminded them of what is weather. What are the sorts of things you should be looking for when we go on a weather walk?
What do we use to measure whether it's hot or cold? Sarah, so you can use a thermometer. How do we know that it is spring? Were flowers growing in the winter?
No.
Why not?
Because it's cold.
Sam?
And animals that hibernate are coming out.
That we might see.
I know.
Haven't seen it all winter, but we might see it even right now on our weather walk.
Yes. There are two things. One, when I'm in every Tuesday after school, we do science things and we planted peas, and that's a vegetable. And the second thing is peas are vegetables.
That's true.
I saw a spider about this big jacket.
I also want you looking definitely spring? How do we know, and how could you prove it?
My first graders went on a weather walk, and they went on plenty of weather walks at the beginning of the schoolyard when we were doing the air and weather kit. So we went on weather walks almost every week. They went outside, we used a thermometer and an anemometer. We also just made observations using our senses. And I like to revisit our weather journals every so often during the school year to remind them how to make good observations.
There's a little gust. Where were the birds in winter, do you think?
In their nest hiding. Richard, I just know.
Do you think any of the birds left Massachusetts for the winter? Where did they go?
They fly south.
They fly south. Come here.
We also always review expectations for behavior outside. So when we haven't looked at our weather journals in a while, it's important to remind the kids what we're looking for when we go outside. So we talked about what is weather, what are the kinds of things you might notice and write down. We also talked about things that might be different because we did so many weather observations in the fall, we did a couple in the winter, but it was a little bit different going out in spring. So we looked for signs of spring out in the schoolyard, things that were different from the observations that we made earlier in the school year. With the weather walk, the children can walk around a little bit, they can move to different parts of the schoolyard, they're sharing the weather tools of the thermometer and the anemometer. Sometimes we will share our observations outside, other times I find if the kids are getting a little bit unfocused, I'll bring them back inside and then we'll share the observations that we made.
The expectations of the lesson really were centered around trying to find insects. Although I do know that kids are going to find things that are not insects out there. So that's kind of one of the big hurdles when you go outside, is that we tend to have a lot of ants outside, and that tends to be all we have outside. So kids are usually learning about insects by learning about non-insects, like a pill bug is something they find constantly out there, or a slug. I think what they did outside today was pretty much what I expected and what I've seen from before. Kids getting really excited about one section of the outdoor classroom, students then following after that person, kind of creating a large group of kids hurdling over one spot.
Oh, I'm getting dirty. Oh, the centipede!
There's an ant farm over there, and the ants walk really fast and they fell out the vial.
The students tend to like to try to mix the insects, which is something that I've been trying to get away from. That's something that definitely surprised me today. You can even see in their writing, and some of them were mixing two different types of ants, which was not good, which was not what I wanted. But we'll definitely talk about that next time we go out.
I have an ant. I have an ant.
Ant, centipede!
Look at that little boy.
Centipede! I found two roly-polies.
I have an ant in my hand. Now it's in my arm. It's crawling really fast and it tickles. But some people over there in the ant farm, it's biting them, but it doesn't bite me because it likes me.
These like they're kind of little eggs that I dipped up, and they're like, there's an ant right there. Oh, there's another one here.
The biggest takeaway always when I go outside is the kind of oral talk and language that kids want to use after we go outside. I think every student in that class, minus 2 kids, are learning the language of English right now. So kids talking about insects is important for me if we're going to be trying to learn about them, learn the content, learn the academic vocabulary that goes along with it. So once we went outside and we came back in, kids, all those hands going up, we had to stop. I had to give them time to just talk about it. And I didn't want to lose that energy, so that's why I kind of went with that ticket to lunch with the writing, because I wanted them to extend it deeper, be able to share more about it. It looks very different teaching science outside than it does inside, but the excitement is all the same. So that for me was another big takeaway. The kids are just really excited still. This is not the first time we've done it. We've been studying insects since April. Yes, April. So it's been a long study. And even though as an adult I feel like, wow, we're almost done the school year, how can they still be interested? They still are, and they still want to do that. And they ask weekly if they can go out and do it again. So.
Come get your clipboard and a pen. Someone put them. I have, somebody else missing a pen? Okay. We started at the Rocks. We're fortunate to have a whiteboard outside, so they came to my room. I told them we were going outside. They had some materials to bring outside, and then we went out to the rock area and we started setting up the lesson. At the beginning of the lesson, asking them, you know, where does precipitation go? Asking them for examples of precipitation, just trying to access their background knowledge. It was kind of cool to see them pulling things from all the seasons. So winter, they were talking about snow. Hail's always popular because it always involves a big storm. One thing that I have noticed just in talking with kids is when there's water on pavement, they often think that it soaks into the pavement. And so one thing that I was listening for, like asking where does it go, was did this 5th grade group, were there any ideas like that? So I was sort of listening for what they knew, but also what areas I could kind of focus on during the demonstration to... Another type of ground would be flat dirt.
Yeah.
What we're going to test what our fourth category is. You want to make a prediction?
Water on like a sloped hill or something and see where it goes.
That's exactly right. We're going to do a slope. The slope, however, is going to be that field by the school. So we're going to call that a grassy slope. As soon as the water is getting poured, you're writing and drawing what you see, because that's going to be part of the 3 minutes. We're going to use the same amount of water in every time we pour. So this could be rain, right? This could be snow melting. This could be any type of precipitation.
Oh, it looks like snow melted.
Okay, what about the shape at the top?
Looks like a circle. Looks like a face.
Now, wait a second. It does look like it's like.
Wait, I got it. Compassion, look.
It looks like a
This
heart.
is a lab cluster group. They're self-contained for behavior, and one thing that I try to do is anytime we can confirm, making predictions is sometimes difficult for them because they do not want to be wrong. There's definitely a security kind of thing. They want to know they're right. Taking a risk like making a prediction is huge for them. So they need to feel safe. See? Good. So let's focus a little less on the shape and more on like just what the water did.
The water is like, it went straight, but it could like turn more soft, and it could like leave.
It's kind of obvious, but one thing that we have evidence of is that water goes in what direction?
It goes down.
Down, right? It sounds. The other thing I really liked about the outdoor experience that one of the students talked about how the dirt was drinking down the water. So he has the concept, he knows what happens when water hits dirt, but he doesn't have the vocabulary, absorbs. And so rather, you know, not making a big deal out of it, just saying, oh, the dirt's absorbing the water, just introducing that vocabulary very organically. I noticed that when we went to the slope, the word absorbed was used. I'm gonna pour it right here, and I want you watching what happens. Here we go. What do you notice is happening?
It's flooding, and then it's like a little, like when it's moving a little, it's getting sucked down by the roots.
Okay, yep.
It's making a hole and it's going under the dirt when you stop.
And the dirt is drinking it down.
Ah, it's absorbing?
See, right here, the dirt is drinking it down, see?
Okay.
It's drinking it down. And it's getting bigger like a puddle. Because it's feeding the big
So, 2 liters of water, did it go as far? Does anybody want to touch that area and see if it feels any different?
I do. Yep.
Do you want to compare? Like touch over here where I didn't pour water versus where I did pour water?
Just use 2 different fingers. Hard and soft.
Ah, so where the water was poured, the ground ground feels a little softer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be an observation to write down. However, I was very strategic when I chose the 4 locations because I wanted them to see water evaporating off of pavement, and I wanted them to see water absorbing into dirt. It just opened up, I guess, more opportunities for teachable moments. Why do you think it didn't absorb as quickly this time?
Because there was a slope.
So could you please write, what's an observation that you make about water on a slope?
There's a slope, it will roll down the hill before it absorbs.
I think it's gonna curve like
I think it's gonna dodge. I think it's gonna it might go in, it'll go down.
So I'm gonna pour right here, and you guys are gonna record your observation. Let's see what happens. Try and pour it at the same
It immediately went down the slope.
Straight. Now it's, oh look, it's passing. Do you see? It's moving. Someone predicted. Who predicted it was gonna move some plants? Me. Look at that. Do you see how it's moving those plants right?
And it went directly into the drain, like I said.
It might dry too.
What's the difference of the shape?
See, look, it's like a person. See, it looks like a person with a jiggly hair. Right there, it's fat. Like this.
Going back into the classroom, my favorite part of that whole lesson, they were really into it. They were really engaged. They loved it. But my favorite part was asking them, because they all wanted to pour the water, and I just wanted, at that point, scientifically, the water to be poured at the same rate. You know,
like closely going in back, leaving disappeared when the sun touches, it disappears. I've never seen that before.
So it evaporates really quickly, right? Okay.
It surprised me because when it kept going, it took like 30 seconds to pick up some plants. I was surprised it was strong enough because usually it starts getting evaporated before.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you want to pour the water? What did you want to try?
Fast to see if it, when we were on the hills, to see if it go, if it would just go faster. And instead of just pouring it at the same rate, just going the same as the other way going down the hill.
Okay.
Like that.
Because I was just I wasn't moving it, so you would want to move it back and forth? Okay.
You want to be a Simpson?
I believe it's more igneous rock. So I've asked you to write about how you think this landform was created. And who would like to share maybe a couple of their thoughts or ideas on that?
I think it was probably made by earthquakes.
By earthquakes? Okay.
By rain and wind.
We're going to be outside probably for about 15 or 20 minutes in total. And your job today is going to be to observe. And you're going to be recording your observation using pictures and words. You may use numbers as well. How do you think we might be able to use numbers if we're looking at how Mount Gardner is being affected by different earth materials?
How tall it is and how wide it is.
How tall and wide? Okay. Edward, how else?
How much it grows and how much it shrinks.
So the lesson we did today was landforms, and we were starting the unit trying to have students realize how water affects changes in land formations. And so the way we did that today was to have the students come out and observe changes on our Mount Gardner that we built this morning to see how the water flow affects the changes in the land. All right, now,
Can
Christian.
I take pictures?
Yeah, you can, definitely. I want you to slowly pour this. Bless you. Slowly pour it. All right, you guys over the top of the mountain. Pour it over the top of their hands. Okay, the rest of us, let's stand back and just observe what happens, guys. Just observe. All right, stop. I want you to describe what you're seeing, guys, not just naming it. We're describing the actual thing. Time is passing.
It's drying off.
We have weathering, we have rain. All right, ready? What have you observed just now? What do you observe just now?
Volcano eruption.
Earthquake. High wind pressure.
Let's see some hands, please. Does earth material get moved very quickly or very slowly by wind?
Very slowly.
Okay. I feel that doing this activity outside helps to have students realize what is really happening to the land formations when we are affected by rain and other types of weathering and wind. We do this activity inside with the stream tables, and I believe that there's a greater impact by doing it outside because students are able to really see some significant changes in the landform, and they're able to visualize more easily. Okay, so let me just say that again. If we look at water as a force, how can we describe what we just observed? We need to observe what's going to happen again over time. How is water?
Gonna make another igneous rock.
All right. How is water going to affect our mountain? Okay.
Nothing at all.
The steeper the slope of a landform, the faster water will flow down it, and the faster the potential is for that landform to change, especially when there are major rainstorms or flood-like events.
Hit the floor, hit the floor.
Right there. No, the water. Right here, Mr. Hernandez.
What do we see? What is this, guys? What is it? A river. All right. So, can mountains have rivers on them?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. What was at work out there? Edward.
Weathering.
What is weathering?
It's like when weather changes something, like mountains or something else.
Okay. How is it changing?
Because the rain made by Mr. Martin, it made a landslide.
Rain was one way.
And when you were blowing on it as wind, most of the dirt fell off.
Today we're going to be using 4 different simple machines. We're going to be looking at a single pulley system, a 2 pulley system, an inclined plane, a lever. Who can tell me, why do we use simple machines?
I think it's like if I think it was a lever or pulley. Like sometimes they use it when they're pulling up like something up to that's heavy up to like a building. Yeah.
And you're comparing how easy or how hard it is to do the work. What you're trying to figure out is the simple machine making the work any easier? So right now there's 2 bricks in each bag. I need a helpful volunteer. Mario. And I'm just using these 2 bricks. What's the reading on the spring scale, Mario? You change 10. If you get a reading less than 10, then you know that the work must be easier to do. This spring scale, which I'm going to put over on the inclined plane, same thing as the ones we've been using in class. They're just bigger because they can accommodate more weight. The spring scales we've been using are for those teeny tiny weights, and these are more bigger and stronger so that they can accommodate a heavier weight. When I blow my whistle, you're going to freeze and then rotate to the next station.
The Simple Machines unit is called Levers and Pulleys in Boston, and as part of the Levers and Pulleys unit, I decided to take the kids outdoors because that would give us an opportunity to move around a little bit more, we'd have more space to work, and also it would give us the opportunity to use some more heavy-duty levers and pulleys and to lift some heavy weights.
Can you pick one number that's kind of right in the middle that would represent all those values? It says 9, 10. 10, I think it's 10. Alright. Aren't you supposed to put your observation? Is it easier to lift the bag with or without the simple machine? You hurt my knee! Alright. Our job is to okay, now get on. Hold on. Yeah, get on. What are you supposed to do? Freeze! The scale said. I don't like that one. Like the 18.
Overall, I think that they did a pretty good job. With 5th graders, it's hard to keep them on task when they're spread out at 5 different centers and there's just one teacher. So my biggest challenge with this lesson was moving from center to center and making sure kids were focused making sure that anybody who's having trouble with directions got the instructions that they needed. But I think that using those heavy weights really helped drive home the importance of having simple machines. It's really clicked for them that if you have something that's really heavy, a lever or a pulley or even an inclined plane is going to make doing that work a little bit easier.
Switch to the next station on your list. If you need help, ask for it and I can help you.
Doing hard work, and so I took them out into the schoolyard and gave them some bags full of bricks, some weights that really were legitimately heavy, and they needed a simple machine to help them lift them.
What did you think about what? Wait, let me lift it up.
All right.
So we went out in the schoolyard and I set up some stations with a lever and some pulleys. I also set up an inclined plane using a ramp. And outside, the kids had plenty of space to maneuver and move around. And I had them rotate to different stations, trying out all the different simple machines that were set up. So even with 5th graders, I have to go over the expectations about being outside, especially because this lesson was going to be set up right on the play structure, which is a huge temptation. So I needed to make it clear that, you know, we were going outside for this lesson and we weren't going to be using the play yard equipment except to hang pulleys on. It always helps with old students and the younger students to give them a clipboard and a pencil, so that helped focus them. Whenever they weren't sure what they were supposed to be doing, the directions were on their recording sheet and they had a graphic organizer that was going to help them make observations at each station that they went to.
Bring your pencil and your clipboard and come sit along the lower part of the rock wall. All right, for the very first machine, or excuse me, for the first station, vertical lift, if you are just lifting the bag with no machine, what kind of force does it take to lift this bag? About 9. So
I felt like at the end of the levers and pulleys unit, my kids understood what a lever and a pulley was, but they didn't understand the real purpose of a lever and a pulley. Because the weights we were using in the classroom were so small and so light, they didn't see that as doing work.
So when you had no machine, we're talking about 10. When you used the inclined plane or the ramp, what was the number you got when you were dragging it up the ramp?
I got 6 when I listened.
Is that you can pull down and you can use your body weight instead of just using your arm muscles. So that's a directional advantage. When the number on this scale went down, when it actually took less force to lift the load, that's called a mechanical advantage.